3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, what's up? We're back with DJ Gamers here, and today our guest, Dr. Jay Patel here, and we are going to be talking about the NBA playoffs and just the bubble and how we think everything is going to turn out.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so as everyone knows, the NBA resumed its season in late July in what they call the bubble. So the NBA season was suspended back in March, and the last game to ever be played was between the Mavericks and the Nuggets. And during that game, the NBA announced via Twitter and other platforms that the season would be suspended due to the coronavirus pandemic. And if you guys remember Mark Cuban's reaction when he saw that the season was suspended, that was all of us. We were all like, oh man, the NBA season's suspended? We didn't know when it was going to be resumed again. And then with the pandemic going on throughout the spring and summer, we didn't even know if basketball would be back. But the NBA came up with a creative solution called the bubble, and as we know, they created this scenario in Orlando at Disney World where they have 3 arenas. The players all came from 22 teams, and they decided to create a scenario where players got tested every day. They weren't allowed visitors or outsiders, and they were able to still play and resume the season. Well, that season was essentially an 8 to 9 game season for the 22 teams that were in the bubble, and that just finished up a few days ago. And now we have our playoff matchups for the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. And we're going to go through the playoff scenarios in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to talk about the bubble and the 8 to 9 games that we saw in the bubble. Mm-hmm. And what I want to do is introduce, first of all, our guests here. I have Vachan Dave, Ved Dave, and Veer Dave. We're all NBA fans and NBA enthusiasts.
Fanatics.
Yep. And so I want to ask these guys, first of all, the 8 games to 9 games we saw in the bubble. Tell me, Vachan, who your top 5 players in the bubble were.
Probably TJ Warren one.
Okay.
One of them. I don't know the exact top 5, but I could name 5.
Yeah.
Probably TJ Warren. Maybe Pascal Siakam. Probably, who's been doing good?
Well, I'll tell you, the NBA itself came out with their first team and second team, all bubble teams. And we're going to go through that real fast here. I'll go through the second team first, and then we'll go through the first team. So let's go through the second team first, okay, guys? So, Veer, if you can just read off the second team here.
Okay, so the second team is KP Kristaps Porzingis, Michael Porter Jr., Karis LeVert, Kawhi Leonard, and of course Giannis Antetokounmpo.
So this is the second team. Now, some of these names are not surprising, and some are surprising. Let's talk about Michael Porter Jr. Do you guys know Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah, a little bit.
So Michael Porter Jr. was drafted by the Nuggets. He was supposed to be a top 5, top 2 pick even by some experts. Some people even thought before he entered the draft that he was going to go number 1. So remember, this is the same draft that Luka, Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, that draft of 2018. Well, Michael Porter Jr. was injured during college, and so his draft stock plummeted. And so the Nuggets, even though they were a good team, they were able to pick him up and draft him and put him on injured reserve. And then he came back this year, and he came back to the potential that people saw in him. So it's nice to see that even though he was injured, he's playing at a level where he's considered all second team bubble.
Yeah.
Kristaps Porzingis is a local player for our Mavericks. And it's nice to see he also had a major injury when he was with the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
And then the Mavericks traded for him in February of 2019. Before the pandemic. Yeah. And before the pandemic, he was playing really well. Yeah. He was definitely the second best player on the Mavericks. And some nights he was actually the leading scorer ahead of Luka. And then there was a stretch during the season where Luka was injured. He had a bad ankle injury after the Miami game, and Kristaps Porzingis was the main scorer.
Yeah.
And we beat the Bucks, I think, and we beat some other really good teams. So KP showed that he could definitely be the number one player on his team. But definitely he is worthy of the all-bubble second team because he, I think, averaged over 30 points in the bubble. So he's definitely worthy. And then no surprise, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard, who are all-stars, MVP candidates.
Yes.
Giannis won the MVP last year. It's favored that he's going to win the MVP again.
Probably.
Kawhi Leonard was the Finals MVP. He carried the Toronto Raptors to the championship. So those are some pretty good names for the all-bubble second team. Vid, can you go over the all-bubble first team?
So we have Damian Lillard. He's just been an all-star, and he's been leading the Trailblazers with points. And with CJ McCollum, they have a good chance of maybe getting 3 games against the Lakers. And then you have James Harden, just the step back, knocking with Russell Westbrook. He's been doing really good. You have Luka Doncic, our man, on the Mavericks, being with KP, and they're gonna be doing good. You have Devin Booker, who's just leading his team. He has no other players that support him, but with him on his team, he can be really good.
They went no losses in the bubble.
No losses.
8-0, yeah.
That's crazy.
And then, Butchin already mentioned T.J. Warren. He kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, you know, he wasn't really an all-star this year. He wasn't really even the best player on his team. You know, a lot of people thought Sabonis was the best player on the Pacers, or maybe Oladipo, yeah. But T.J. Warren came out of nowhere and started just, you know, making buckets after buckets, and led the Pacers in scoring, and he was one of the leading scorers in the bubble overall. Let's talk about some of these guys. Vid mentioned Damian Lillard and how he's been carrying his team along with CJ McCollum and how they're really playing well. I don't know if you guys know, but Damian Lillard, the last 3 games, he scored 51, 61, and almost 40.
That's crazy.
So he's been on a tear. He's clearly the leading scorer in the bubble.
And they barely got in the playoffs.
Yeah, so they really fought hard, and they were one of the teams that was on the bubble, in the bubble, but they made it to the playoffs, and now they're the 8th seed, and they're really hot, and they're playing well. And then James Harden, what can you say about James Harden? He's a ex-MVP. He scores whenever he wants to. He's got that deadly step back. He can dribble really well, get to the hole, draw fouls. They call him the Beard, and he's definitely one of the best scorers in NBA history, and definitely one of the best scorers currently in the NBA.
Yeah.
But John, Vid, Veer, whoever wants to take this question, why don't you guys talk about Luka? We know Luka really well because he plays for our local team, but tell me about Luka and why he deserves to be on the all-bubble first team.
He can shoot good threes. He draws a lot of fouls. He goes for layups.
He can get points easily.
Yeah, he can do everything.
And he can put up a lot of triple doubles in games. He's not just a scorer, but he's a passer, a really good passer.
Yeah, it just shows that he's everywhere on the court.
So Luka is really phenomenal because he's only 21 years old. These other guys are, you know, late 20s or early 30s, except for Devin Booker. Devin Booker's really young as well, but Luka's really young, only 21. He just turned 21
and he
in
started
February.
Playing when he was 19.
Yeah, actually he played even earlier than that. He was 16 when he played professional for the first time. So he's not new to playoff basketball or high-level competition basketball. He's just new to the NBA. But in Europe, he was EuroLeague MVP, Champions League MVP. He led Slovenia to the EuroLeague title or European title. So Luka, he can do it all. He's a great passer. He's a great scorer. He's a great rebounder, and he's becoming a great leader.
And some of the games that Mavericks won were just because of the one Luka pass.
Yeah. So if you watched the game last Saturday with Luka and the Mavericks going up against the Bucks are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're favored by many to win the title with the MVP of the league and probably the back-to-back MVP of the league. And really, I don't know about you guys, I felt like Luka was the best player on the floor that night.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Luka, he just stole the show. He was great with his rebounding and getting to the hole. But what really was the highlight of that game was when a minute left in overtime, and Luka hit Maxi Kleber with a pass between his legs with his offhand, and he hit him in stride. Maxi Kleber grabbed the ball, dunked it, got fouled, and won. And that was the game. And that was the highlight of the bubble, actually, one of the best plays in the bubble. So Luka is definitely deserving of the all-first team recognition.
Yeah.
Devin Booker is a phenomenal scorer. He's kind of like Kobe Bryant in a lot of ways. He can just score from anywhere. He's a great three-point shooter. He's a great mid-range shooter. He can get to the hole and dunk. He's just a phenomenal scorer.
And they won with the last second shot, buzzer beater, versus the Clippers.
Over Paul George.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling that the play of the bubble so far. Yeah, because Devin Booker was fading away. Paul George was playing great defense. He had his hand literally like almost on the ball.
And it is the Clippers, one of the best teams.
Yep, and they beat the Clippers. So that was one of their big wins. You know, like we mentioned, the Suns went 8-0 in the bubble, but unfortunately they couldn't make the playoffs. They were just too far behind when they entered the bubble.
But if Phoenix Suns get another good player, I think they're gonna be.
And next year they're going to be even better.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the up and coming young teams in the Western Conference. The Western Conference is stacked.
Yeah.
If you just take a look back at the Western Conference and some of the young players we have in the Western Conference, we've already talked about Luka, we've talked about Devin Booker, but there's also John Morant. Zion. So we got some really tough competition in the West with some teams really up and coming. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. This year, we'll go through the playoffs and all the scenarios here. It'll probably be one of the older teams that's going to win the championship, like the Lakers, the Clippers, or the Bucks, or maybe the Raptors again. But you got to watch out for these young teams coming up in the next few years. So it'll be really interesting.
Dangerous.
All right, so we're going to shift gears now, and we're going to talk about the playoffs. The playoffs start tomorrow, Monday, the 17th of August, and we're going to go through the Western Conference, and we're going to go through the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk about the Eastern Conference, probably not as much as the Western Conference, because our team is in the Western Conference.
In the Western Conference, and we're like
competitive.
Competitive,
and
yeah.
we're like
I think the number one team. I think the Bucks are gonna win the Eastern Conference because like Raptors maybe, but I think the Bucks are gonna win the Eastern Conference.
We're going to go through the Eastern Conference first, just kind of quickly go through there, and then we'll talk about the Western Conference. So, Veer, if you can go through this first round matchup between the Bucks and the Magic.
So the 1 seed Bucks are going against the 8 seed Magic, and I honestly think this series is not even going to be close. I don't think the Magic are even good enough to stop Giannis and Middleton and their whole team. So I just think the Bucks will win.
easy one.
Sweep.
Yeah, a lot of experts are predicting the Bucks are going to either sweep or win in 5. No one's saying that the Bucks are going to go to 6 or 7 games, so it should be a short series. Definitely the Bucks are stacked. The Magic, they have a few good players, but no one on the caliber of Giannis Antetokounmpo or Chris Middleton. The Bucks also have great role players like Brook Lopez, Robin Lopez, Kyle Korver, Eric Bledsoe. They have some really good role players. And then
Magic have okay players, Vucevic.
Yeah, Vucevic is an all-star level player, but not like Antetokounmpo.
Not even close.
All-star.
What's also going to hurt the Magic is they lost Jonathan Isaac to an injury, ACL injury, earlier in the bubble, and he was starting to play really good defense and just really good basketball overall. So that's going to hurt not having him. All right, we're going to go to the next matchup, if you don't mind going over this.
So the Raptors are number 2 seed against the Nets, number 7 seed. I have the Raptors here because Nets, if KD and Kyrie are hurt, I don't know if Karis LeVert can lead the Nets and the Raptors. I think Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, they all have roles in the Raptors, and if they can play good, they'll beat the Nets.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, everyone's predicting that Raptors in 4 or 5,
Yeah.
or 6 or 7.
Maybe in 5.
Yeah, this should be a very similar series to the Bucks and the Magic. The Raptors are still the defending NBA champs. Don't forget that. Even though they lost Kawhi Leonard, they're still the
All the
champs.
players still have the experience of like the finals.
That's right. They have the experience, and also their coach Nick Nurse is a very good coach. So Siakam. Once Kawhi left, Siakam starting to play really well, even better than he did back in 2019.
Probably more improved player.
Yeah, he's one of them. He actually won Most Improved Player last year and the year before. So he's probably not going to win it this year. He's not even a finalist this year. And we can talk about those awards too later. But Siakam is definitely an all-star level player.
Yes.
Remember, they have Marc Gasol, who's a good player, solid center. Serge Ibaka is good. Kyle Lowry is a very good.
And
Yeah.
Fred
Fred VanVleet's off the bench, scorer.
They also have like OG. and
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah, they have some really good players. And yeah, in Brooklyn, I'm sorry, but Karis LeVert is good, but he's not on their level.
If KD and Kyrie playing,
It'd be a different story.
Yeah.
it'd be a different story.
Probably
Yeah.
7th game.
But I do think Karis LeVert is a pretty good player.
He is good, and he's definitely gonna.
But
You
not
know.
like Siakam level.
Yeah.
He's gonna get better though.
So yeah, it looks like we're predicting that the Raptors are gonna win either in 4 and 5, and that's what the experts are saying as well. No one's saying that the Nets are gonna win this series or even take them to 6 or 7 games. So I agree with the experts here.
Some people say fourth game too.
Yeah.
I think in 5.
5.
All right. Butchin, let's talk about the next matchup. This may be the most interesting matchup in the Eastern Conference.
This is tough. Boston Celtics versus Philadelphia 76ers. This could be 6th, 7th game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big injury obviously is Ben Simmons. He got hurt in the
Yeah.
bubble, so he's out for the
I think
playoffs.
Celtics. All the experts
think-
are thinking Celtics. If Joel Embiid can't lead his team, then Celtics are gonna win.
Yeah. The Celtics just have way too much firepower. They've got Jason Tatum who's playing well. Jaylen Brown. They've got
Walker.
what's his name? Haywood.
Hayward.
Gordon Hayward. Yeah, he's amazing.
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Morris is a defensive, he's a shooter, and then Marcus Smart is a defensive lockdown specialist. The 76ers have talent, even though they lost Ben Simmons. They have Joel Embiid. They have Tobias Harris. They have Al Horford still. So they got some decent players, but losing Ben Simmons is going to really hurt them. So I think we're looking at Boston winning. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Boston.
I think it's gonna be in 5th or 6th game.
5 or 6.
All the
Yeah.
experts are saying that the Boston's gonna win 5 or 6
6
games.
games,
So
yeah.
like,
Yeah, no one's predicting the 76ers. Unfortunately, the 76ers, if they don't win this year or advance in the playoffs, it's going to be another disappointing playoffs for them.
Yeah.
Because last year the Raptors beat them, in that amazing Game 7 where Kawhi hit the shot. And then this year, it looks like they're not going to get too far in the playoffs. So it may be another disappointing playoffs for the 76ers.
They had a setback in the bubble.
Yeah. And a lot of people are saying that even though they have all this talent, that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons just don't play well together. They should be much better than the way they play,
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with the 76ers should they get eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
All right. The last matchup in the Eastern Conference is a 4-5 matchup, and these are always close.
Yeah.
So this is the 4th seed Indiana Pacers against the 5th seed Miami Heat. So what do you guys think about this matchup?
I think Miami's gonna win. They're just a better overall team.
Yeah. I think Jimmy Butler's the best player on the court in
Yeah.
this whole series.
and also I think it's gonna be like a 6th, 7th game, probably maybe.
Yeah.
You see the Indiana Pacers, they have a lot of playmakers. TJ Warren, as we talked about before, he's been putting up great points, and but I think the Heat are gonna win too. But Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler are playing.
And
So
they
it's
have a lot of
good.
supporting
Yeah.
cast.
Yeah, they got some good shooters surrounding Jimmy Butler and Bam. And remember, the Heat also have Goran Dragic, who's a veteran. The Pacers, Oladipo maybe starts playing a little bit better.
Sabonis is
Sabonis,
doing okay.
yeah, and or Sabonis even I haven't even seen him play, but TJ Warren continues to play well. Maybe it'll be a good series. This is probably going to be the most
Close.
competitive series in the Eastern Conference.
For the
So
first round, at least.
yeah, it looks like people are still predicting the Heat, but instead of 4 or 5, they're saying 6 and 7 games maybe. So it may go
I think
full
it's going to
7.
be in 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both really good teams.
Yeah.
They're both evenly matched up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to the Western Conference where we have most of our interest. So we're going to go from the top here. Why don't you talk about this first matchup?
So this is an interesting one. Los Angeles Lakers versus Portland Trailblazers. I think this is going to be close. The Lakers haven't been doing that good in the bubble. So,
Yeah, I think the Lakers are number one, obviously for many reasons. They have one of the best players in NBA history on their side, LeBron James.
yeah.
And then they've got one of the other really good top 10, top 5 players, if you want to say, in Anthony Davis.
And
And they just have support like Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
They have
Danny Green.
Howard.
Remember, they have Dwight Howard still, They got JaVale McGee. They got,
Yeah. Kuso.
they picked up, J.R. Smith, and they picked up Deion Waiters.
Yeah.
And then,
And Danny
Caruso. Yeah, Danny Green's a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that the Lakers, when they were in the bubble, they were just kind of like, they knew they were going to be the number 1 seed. So they were just kind of like, okay, let's not get injured. Let's just kind of lay low. And then once the playoffs start, we're going to really start playing well.
Yeah.
But this still should be an interesting matchup because, like we talked about already, the Blazers are really hot. And specifically, Damian Lillard is like playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking, okay, Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum in the backcourt are going to pose problems for the Lakers because they don't really have strong backcourt. The strength is the front court. LeBron and AD and Dwight Howard, but their backcourt, may have trouble trying to hold Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum.
For sure.
But on the flip side, the Portland front court's going to have a hard time holding LeBron and AD. Nurkic is going to have a hard time with AD probably.
Nurkic has definitely stepped up his game.
He has.
He has. He's got a double-double versus the Grizzlies, I think.
And then you see Carmelo Anthony in the Trailblazers. He's gonna have to step up a lot for
Yeah.
them to win.
That's right. So, what do you guys think? Lakers going to win this series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in a close game.
Lakers in 6 and
All
7.
the experts think Lakers, but one of them thinks Trailblazers.
Yeah, this guy's really going out on a limb here. Trailblazers in 7. Wow. So, if they somehow win, he's going to look like a genius,
Yeah.
But he's the only one that's picking the Trailblazers.
I'm gonna go for the Trailblazers, but I think
I
the
think
Lakers.
if Portland wins, it'll be in Game 7.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lakers are going to get past this round. They'll move on to the next round.
This is a good matchup.
It'll be a huge upset if they don't beat the Trailblazers, no matter how good the Trailblazers are playing.
Remember,
The Lakers,
Trailblazers beat them in the game after Kobe died. So.
yeah. We're going to skip this next series because that's the one that's probably the most interesting to us. But the other 2 series are going to be amazing, I think.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this next series.
So we have the Denver Nuggets at number 3 against the Utah Jazz at number 6. Denver Nuggets have Jamal Adams, which is doing okay, and Jamal Murray, and they have the Joker. And I think that Utah's gonna win this one because they have Rudy Gobert and they have a lot of players like Donovan Mitchell, but the injuries are gonna be hard for them too. So it's gonna be an interesting one.
But
Yeah.
for the Jazz, there's no Mike Conley. So
Yeah.
That's going to hurt them.
That's gonna hurt. I think Nuggets are gonna win in like
I think
5,
Nuggets are gonna
6.
win in 6.
But one of the experts think Jazz in 7.
Jazz in 7.
So this is going to be a tight series, I think. Interesting matchups for sure.
Yeah.
The Nuggets, if you guys have seen them in the bubble, they play what they call tall ball.
Yeah.
So literally, their point guard is Jokic, 7 foot, which is like so unusual. And then they have like Bol, who's like 7'3" or 7'4", and then even their other players are pretty tall.
Yeah.
Their shortest player is Jamal Murray, but he's pretty decent.
Yeah,
6.
So if you look at the matchups in this series, it should be interesting. I can see Jamal Murray up against Donovan Mitchell.
I can see that. Jokic and Gobert.
Jokic and Gobert, and Joe Ingles and maybe I don't know whoever the
Michael.
Michael Porter. Yeah, you forgot about Michael Porter. He's like playing really well. Remember, he's all bubble second team.
Yeah. He's not.
I think that Porter factor and the fact that the Jazz don't have Mike Conley is gonna sway the favor
Yeah, 'cause
towards the
Mike
Nuggets.
Conley has been doing so good in the bubble.
Yeah. So bottom line, who do you think is gonna win this series?
Nuggets in 6 or 7.
Yeah. How about you?
Nuggets and
Yeah.
Yeah, Nuggets. But if the Utah Jazz wants to win, Donovan Mitchell is gonna have to step up his game a lot.
Yeah. He's gonna have to outplay Murray,
Yeah.
and in fact, he may have to be the best player on the court.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
but
I think the Nuggets are
Yeah.
gonna win. Yeah.
what the Jazz do have in their favor, though, I will say, is they're a really good defensive team, and they have the DPOY and Rudy Gobert. So we'll see. Should be an interesting matchup for
Close.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the next matchup. Veer, you want to talk about this next matchup?
So the 4 seed Rockets against the 5 seed Thunder. This game probably is really close. But in this one, I do think the Rockets are going to win just because James Harden, I think he is going to be the best player on the court. And sometimes if Chris Paul is not in the game, the Thunder don't really have anyone else to
They have
take
Gallinari.
leadership.
They have Gallinari. That's been doing good.
Yeah, this is going to be a really.
Yeah.
I think this is maybe the best series in all the playoffs in the first round.
I agree.
Yeah.
And all the experts are thinking like six or 7.
Yeah, I think there's
Well, if you look at this, the experts, some of them are picking the Rockets, some of them are picking the Thunder. Not everyone's picking the Rockets, and not
Yeah.
everyone's picking the Thunder. So
like the other matches.
yeah, it looks like 11 experts are picking the Rockets, and 6 experts are picking the Thunder.
And they're all in game 6 or 7, so
Yeah, and it's all going to go 6 or 7, I think, as well. The things that are interesting in this series is, first of all, you have 2 players that were swapped
yeah.
that used to be on the other team.
Yeah.
So Russell Westbrook, is he going to try to show the OKC Thunder, you guys made a mistake in trading me?
Yeah.
Or is Chris Paul going to show the Rockets that you guys made a mistake in trading me? You know, Chris Paul has been playing really, really well of late.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the sense that the Rockets have 2 superstars
Yeah.
and the Thunder have 1.
But I do think Chris Paul fits better with the Thunder than the
He does, yeah. And they play more like a team. And you know what? You can't count out some of their young players that maybe not are so famous right now, but are getting better and will become maybe household names soon. Like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is really good.
He's good.
Steven Adams is solid. As a center.
If
Gallinari is playing really
Steven
well.
Adams can step up his game against the small ball,
Yeah.
that would be a great matchup
Yeah,
for the
that's
Thunder.
right. They can take advantage of that.
At the end, the Thunder are going to double team Harden.
Yeah, and that's not a bad strategy because I would want the ball out of Harden's hands.
Yeah.
Try to make Westbrook beat you. Try to make those 3-point shooters beat you.
Yeah.
And they're
And see
going
how
to
they do
do
in
the
the
same
playoffs.
thing for Harden and Lillard, maybe.
Yeah,
They're
Mhm.
very similar.
very
Or
similar.
sometimes those players they can get out of control and you just can't contain them.
Yeah.
All right, prediction time, guys. Veer, what do you think this series?
Rockets
In how many games do you think?
6 or 7.
Okay, Vid?
I think the Rockets, but I think it's going to be in Game 7.
Watching?
Same Rockets 6 or 7.
I'm thinking Rockets too. I think, like I said, they have 2 superstars. The Thunder have 1. And I think at the end of the day, the best player on the floor typically wins these series when it's close. So the best player to me is James Harden in this series. Yeah.
I think the better team together is the OKC, though.
Yes.
They playing good together.
Yeah.
Chris Paul definitely fits in with the OKC.
Yeah. My personal opinion is I don't like watching the Rockets play. I don't like their style of play
Yeah.
because it's like Harden just dribbles and dribbles and dribbles and either shoots or gets fouled or just kicks it out to a 3-pointer. And it's not really team basketball. It's like individual
I
basketball.
like how the OKC are playing
They're
because Chris
coordinated.
Paul
Yeah.
is going really good with Shai Gilgeous,
Yeah.
Steven Adams, and all of those players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, should be interesting. Okay, finally, we're going to get to the matchup that's probably the most interesting to us
Yes.
as we are based here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and this is our team. So we have the number 2 seed LA Clippers against the number 7 seed Dallas Mavericks. So first of all, before we get into the matchups here, the Mavericks came into the season we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to expect from Luka,
Because
from KP.
the Mavericks, they're always different every season, I feel like.
Well, Luka obviously had a great year as a rookie, rookie of the year, but some people thought, maybe in the second year he's going to have the same numbers, or maybe he may even take a step back, but still be more experienced.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know what to expect from KP coming off of an injury. So I think a lot of us, here as fans, the Dallas Fort Worth media, they thought if the Mavericks can just get into the playoffs, that'd be a successful season. Well, they got into the playoffs for sure. And even though they're the 7th seed, they were only like a game and a half behind being like the 4th seed, or the 5th seed. So they're not as bad as what you would think the 7th seed should be.
Yeah.
So the matchup, however, is not in their favor.
No.
I think if they were to play Denver, Utah, Houston, OKC, they would have had a good chance.
All the experts pick Clippers.
Yeah, which is not surprising. This is the Mavericks' first time in the playoffs since 2016.
But they're a young team and they can go far next season.
Yeah, and that's my thought as well. Is that I'm just glad that Luka and KP are getting playoff experience this year because they're going to need it. I don't expect them to do much this year, but I want them to get experience, learn what playoff basketball is all about, and then we'll see how they move forward next year and the year after that. So let's talk about some matchups in this series. So if you were to say who the best player on the floor is right now with these two teams, who would you say?
Either Kawhi Leonard or Luka, but I don't know. With the more playoff experience, probably Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
I gotta say Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard, I think, dude. I have a feeling, just like the Lakers, that the Clippers were just kind of coasting through the season. They didn't really care about being the number 2 seed versus the number 1 seed. And with everything in the bubble now, there's no real home court advantage.
Yeah.
All the games are like without crowds,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really matter if you have home court advantage or not.
Right.
So they were just doing a lot of load management throughout the season.
They're trying to figure out what's gonna go right and wrong.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they have 2 superstars.
Yeah.
They have actually 2 veteran superstars. The Mavericks have 2 up-and-coming superstars. And yeah, you can't deny Kawhi. He was a finals MVP with 2 different teams. I mean, that's almost never done in NBA history. I don't think it's ever done, actually. Or maybe Kareem did it. But yeah, he was the finals MVP with the Spurs and then with the Raptors. He literally single-handedly carried the Raptors to a championship last year over the Golden State Warriors. So Kawhi is going to step up his game, I fear, to a new level in the playoffs. Paul George is deadly.
Yeah.
And then you can't forget their role players and their
Lou
Williams, yeah, solid. Montrezl Harrell,
Patrick
Beverly, and this is a good defensive team. And I have a feeling they're gonna really concentrate their defensive efforts on Luka and double team him and make Luka pass out of that. And it's gonna be up to Porzingis. It's going to be up to Tim Hardaway Jr. It's going to be up to Seth Curry.
Finney Smith has been doing good.
Yeah, he's got to step up and make that corner 3. He's got to be.
You can't miss those in the playoffs.
He can't miss those. Yeah, he's got to be the classic 3 and D guy. Make threes and D up. Kawhi or Paul George. Because we all know Luka's strength is not his defense. So Finney DFS is going to have to match up against Paul George or Kawhi. Probably Hardaway or somebody else, or Kleba's going to have to match up against the other guy,
Yeah.
And KP is going to be in the middle. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't know. I don't think the Mavericks.
Clippers are really aggressive on their defense.
They are.
If we don't watch out for that, they're going to be destroyed. And they beat the Mavericks in the bubble. They beat them by 20 points maybe.
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't think any of us are going to be disappointed if the Mavericks lose this
You kind of
series.
expected it.
Yeah.
Because it's the Clippers at the end of the
But
day.
we'll still be watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Clippers are the team that a lot of people think are the best team in the NBA, even better than the Lakers and the Bucks.
Yeah,
And
I think.
they just think that the Clippers are just ready to turn it up several notches when the playoffs start on Monday. So we're going to go through the schedule for the playoffs here. It starts tomorrow, and tomorrow we have several games coming up. And we'll be commenting on the playoffs as it goes on. Not every day, but we'll have a series of hopefully several videos and podcasts where we talk about how the playoffs are progressing, what's surprising us, what's not surprising us.
Yeah.
So it looks like tomorrow, Monday, we have the first game is going to be the Denver Nuggets against the Utah Jazz at 12:30 Dallas time. There's also Toronto against Brooklyn at 3 o'clock, so that's the next game. And then we have Boston against Philadelphia at 5:30. And then the nightcap game is Dallas against the Clippers at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So a
Interesting.
full day of games tomorrow, 4 games, and then Tuesday we have the other series getting started. So I think we have the Lakers-Portland game on Tuesday. We have the Rockets OKC game, Milwaukee, Orlando, and then finally Indiana and Miami on Tuesday. So it all gets started tomorrow. Should be exciting. And then before we finish up today's video and podcast, we want to talk about the NBA awards and their nominees. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to ask you guys who you predict and pick for these awards, okay? So here we go. Here's the ballot for different, and we're going to finish with MVP because that's the most important award. But let's go with Coach of the Year. The 3 nominees are Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer, and Billy Donovan. Do you have a pick there?
I think Nick Nurse.
Yeah. How about you?
He's doing really well with the Toronto Raptors without Kawhi.
That's exactly right. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, same. Nick Nurse, he just leading the coaching thing, and you can't deny that Nick Nurse is gonna be Coach of the Year.
I think Nick Nurse, just because they lost a superstar, and all the other teams they either gained a superstar or they just stayed the same. So I think Nick Nurse.
Yeah, I mean Nick Nurse. I mean, people thought the Raptors wouldn't even make the playoffs after Kawhi left. And they're like a top seed in the East. So yeah, number 2. So you lose your MVP and you're still the number 2 seed. That's a lot to do with coaching.
Yeah.
He's elevated his players like Siakam and the other guys that are on the team that have elevated their game. I can't pronounce that guy's name, OG, whatever his name is. Yeah, but he's elevated his game. But anyways, Nick Nurse I think should win as well. So I think we have a unanimous here. We all think Nick Nurse is going to win. Doesn't mean he will win, but we think he should win. So
and if not, then I think the Oklahoma's win.
Billy Donovan, yeah, I think he should be.
Because the Bucks coach, they had the same lineup.
I mean, the Bucks, they lost Malcolm Brogdon, but still they have Giannis still. Yeah,
You can see when Giannis was not playing against the Grizzlies, they didn't stand a chance. And I think the coaching doesn't matter for it just Giannis.
When you have somebody as good as Giannis, you just get out of the way and let him do his thing.
Yeah.
All right, Vid, why don't you talk about Rookie of the Year and the 3 nominees?
So we have John Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies. We have Kendrick Nunn. We have Brandon Clark. I think it's John Morant because he's been an outstanding player.
Almost got in the playoffs.
I think John Morant.
Yeah, obviously with Zion not playing enough games to qualify, it should be John Morant easily. And I mean, Kendrick Nunn, I mean, he had a nice rookie year. Brandon Clark, okay. But if you watched John Morant yesterday, he was pretty good. I mean, he didn't win, but
it's the Grizzlies too.
Yeah.
They don't have all-star players.
Yeah. So definitely, I think John Morant easily will win this award. Okay, Veer, talk about the next award category, which is Defensive Player of the Year.
So we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert, and Anthony Davis.
For me, it's just Antetokounmpo.
All 3 of these guys are really good.
Antetokounmpo. The problem about Antetokounmpo is that when he blocks other players, he usually fouls them. And it's either Rudy Gobert or Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
I don't think Davis is doing okay in defense. Good, but not as good as Rudy Gobert.
I think it's gonna be Rudy Gobert. He's a good tall man, and he's just been denying everyone's shots.
Yeah, Rudy
I
Gobert.
agree. I think it's Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
They call him the Stifle Tower for that. If Rudy Gobert wins, he'll be back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year. It could be Giannis. I'm not sure who's going to win this one, but I think it's going to be Rudy Gobert as well.
Giannis, I think, is going to win MVP.
Yeah. And I think because of that, it's going to be hard for them to give him Defensive Player of the Year as well. Only, I think 2 people have ever done that before in the history of the NBA, have won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Michael Jordan was one of them, I think. and I forget who else the other one was. But I know Michael Jordan was like the last one to win it for both. The only one currently that could probably win it would be Giannis, of course. Maybe Kawhi Leonard could win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But it's hard to win both. You have to be amazing. And Giannis is close, but I don't think he's at the same level as Rudy Gobert for defensive.
For defense.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, and probably most importantly, we're going to talk about most valuable player. We have several nominees. I'm going to give you my personal top 5, and then I want you to all give your personal top 5 for the MVP award. Okay. I would say Giannis will win the MVP. I think he's clearly been the best player. I think LeBron is second. I think Harden should be third. I think Lillard should be fourth. But instead of Kawhi, I think Luka should be fifth in consideration. I think he should finish top 5.
Yeah.
I don't think Kawhi in the regular season has meant as much to his team as Luka has meant to the Mavericks. So that's my top 5 for MVP. And I think Giannis will be the unanimous decision here. Yeah. What do you think?
Giannis 1, LeBron 2. They're like the players. And then I'm going Damian over Harden.
Yes, I'm good. Yeah.
And then I'm going to go Kawhi 4th, and then maybe Luka 5th.
Okay.
I don't know. Interesting.
What do you think?
So obviously locked in is Giannis and LeBron at 1. Giannis 1, LeBron 2. Same. I think Damian over Harden. Damian has been a better player on his team. He's had a lot of impact. And then I have Harden number 4. And I have Luka number 5.
I have Giannis obviously 1 and LeBron 2. I think Lillard over Harden because Lillard just carried his team to the playoffs. But I think Luka's 4 and I think Kawhi's 5. I don't think there's going to be James Harden in this.
Yeah, I agree. Should be, I think, a runaway win for Giannis. So that'll give him back-to-back MVPs, which is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be interesting is how the Bucks do in the playoffs because if Giannis doesn't win the championship this year, he's a free agent, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens if he decides.
If the Mavs get him, they're going to be number 1 seed.
They'll be the champs for the next 4 years or 5 years. Probably.
I don't want Giannis to go to the Warriors. They've won so many championships.
Yeah.
I don't want them to win another
I agree.
one.
In fact, I don't want Giannis if he doesn't stay with the Bucks. Obviously, I want him to come to the Mavs, but other than that, I don't want him to go to any other team. I don't want him to go to the Lakers because they always get the good players. And I don't want him to go with to the Ved said, to the Warriors or the Heat or all these other to Raptors, all the other teams he's been rumored to go with.
The Bucks again.
Yeah, I think he seems like a pretty loyal guy. And even if they don't win this year, I have a feeling he's probably going to stay with the Bucks. I can't imagine him leaving. Unlike KD.
And plus, he's number 1 player.
Yeah, he is the city of Milwaukee. So he it would be devastating for that city to lose Giannis. It would be kind of like LeBron leaving Cleveland, So I think they would burn his jerseys and hate him forever if he left Milwaukee. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Should be very interesting playoffs. We're all excited to watch the playoffs. It's a little unusual this year because it's all in the bubble. It's in August, not in April like it normally is. But hey, because of the pandemic, we're just glad to have sports, and we're very happy to have playoff basketball. So we're all excited. Hope you guys are excited as well. We look forward to seeing what the playoffs unfolds.
Keep you posted on the playoff situation.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted. We're gonna probably do some update videos and maybe do another one next weekend after this first week of playoff games.
Comment down below if you agree with our everything.
Yeah, please give us your feedback. Comment down below. We're gonna see what people. We're gonna read all the comments first of all. Make sure we read them all, and if there's someone that says something crazy and it comes true, we'll give them credit. Someone thinks the Blazers are gonna beat the Lakers, we'll give them credit. So comment down below, and we look forward to interacting with everyone out there in YouTube land for these playoffs. All right, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you guys for watching.
All right.